Hi, I'm Nick Sohn, Director of Sales and Marketing here at Brennan IT. Thanks for joining us for our On Demand series. Today I'm joined by Mike Foster, the Director of Government at Brennan IT. Hi Mike.
Thanks Nick, thanks for having me.
Today's topic, we are talking about aligning your IT roadmap with your business strategy. So Mike, you've been a CEO before. How important is it to make sure that you align the business strategy to the technological roadmap of the company?
I think it's actually something that you really need to think about because it's such a core component to your business. In terms of your IT strategy and your business strategy, they have to be closely aligned. And I think the events of the past 12 to 18 months have even made that more important than it has been in the past.
Yeah, I think post-COVID is a really important topic. How do you think the alignment is going to change between business strategy and IT roadmap post-COVID-19?
I think the alignment will probably become more of a blend. And if you are a senior executive or if you're running a business, whatever it should be, and you don't understand your IT strategy or you haven't thought about how that impacts your business, you need to rethink.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's right. I think it's becoming really important to empower employees and make sure that we're understanding what those employees are out there to do. And having a technology roadmap that supports that is really critical.
Yeah, well, as we all know with COVID, we had an event that just completely came out of the blue. And I know through my past experience, if we had said that we would have had, like all companies, hundreds of employees literally overnight work from home, are you ready for that? Pre-COVID, you probably would have said, oh, it's in our plan somewhere. But then it happened and you had to adapt. So I think this area of adaptability and understanding how your strategy can fit into that is really, really important.
Yeah, look, I think we both agree that having the business strategy underpinned by the technology roadmap is really important. How do you think you go about starting that process?
Well, like anything, I think for a strategy, the first thing it should be, number one, has to be documented.
Yep.
You need to somehow have it as an artifact that everybody in the company can see it, read it, or watch it, or whatever it is, and understand it.
Yep.
The second thing is it needs to be adopted and implemented. And the third thing, I think, is it has to continue to evolve.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think the evolution are probably no more important than during a pandemic or a crisis like COVID presented for us.
Yeah, and now what you've got to look at is, the things that we learned through COVID, so the flexibility, the adaptability, and the way that we moved, most businesses moved really quickly is great. But there's always a tail that then comes through that you've got to work on. And one of those things I would say would be security.
Yep.
Right, so you take there and you go, right, well, what's the impact? We moved really quickly, but is our organisation safe, for want of a better word, from all sorts of things, whether it's through any sort of attack, whether it's just through processes. So your staff are working from home, the processes you had in the office are different to what you have now, or whether it's even just the way can your infrastructure handle future sort of changes that are going to potentially occur.
Yeah, I think that's the cybersecurity angle is a really good one. I think we've seen a number of examples where organisations weren't ready for the challenges posed by the cyber attacks, and there've been certainly some quite high-profile problems that have been caused by that.
Yeah, and if you look at the way the government's adapting and businesses adapting now, just take something that is coming in like critical infrastructure. So do you actually understand in your organisation not only what is important to you, but also what's in your ecosystem? So your partners, your suppliers, not only your customers. How does all that hang together? And how do you ensure that the end-to-end process and capability is going to be always there?
Yeah, I think, Mike, you raise a very good point there around understanding your current landscape and environment. And I would think that the beginning of any strategy where you're putting together your IT roadmap is making sure you understand today's infrastructure, how that all fits together, and making sure that you actually have a full appreciation for what you have today.
Yeah, I think that's important. And like any business, people talk about the word outsourcing, but every business outsources. So because you can't do everything. So you've always turned around and you might have someone doing your customer management, you might have someone doing your telco, you'll have someone doing your managed services, you'll have somebody maybe doing your HR supply. So it's not just about technical outsourcing. And understanding how all that comes together, I think, is something that's really important. And I would encourage companies to really spend time and think about those sorts of things.
I think that's really good advice. So if we think about starting with what is the environment today, what are the dependencies and how does it all fit together, and then what's next after that?
Well, that's right. You could actually start with the physical infrastructure and you say, right, well, as you say, does it all hang together? Does it work? Is it secure? Does it have redundancy? So there's those first sort of area, which is around maybe the architecture. I think then the second part I would start to work into would then be the information flow. So how does my data sit? Where does that sit? Who manages it? Who accesses it? The third area would be the process flow. So what sits over the top of that and going, well, do my processes support my infrastructure and my data management? And then my fourth layer would be my people. Yep. And what am I doing about training and developing my people so that they work through your people, your process, your data, and your infrastructure? And tying that together. And then the other dimension, as I said, is what's within your organisation and then what's within your ecosystem of your organisation. So it's quite complex.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think the focus on the people there is a really important one. Change management is obviously one of the big areas in IT, making sure we get the end user experience right.
And it's changing so much. I mean, I for one, and I've been in IT, for a number of years, but I don't think I've ever used video conference as much as what, the last 12 months. And, I'm not alone there, but in terms of now you turn around, 50% of your meetings are probably by video, and then there's a number of different formats and the way data gets presented. So back to your point about training your people so they feel comfortable with those sorts of things, they can work with it, and then also they understand how the technology works, both, within the workplace and outside as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. So change management, really critical part of any IT strategy.
Yes. Well, you think about when you implement something, when you talk about going forward, I mean, we've been talking about going back. We did a lot of change the last 12 months because of necessity. I mean, it was a raw necessity. Now what you've got to do is you start to bring change to take advantage of the new flexibility we have in the workplace. So bringing that sort of change mentality, I think most people are more adaptable now,
yep.
But you need a program and how you actually then capitalise on that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think that's where the company strategy and company goals really need to then be supported and underpinned by the technology roadmap.
Right, back to your first point. So if you're sitting there as an executive or a manager or an owner of a business and you haven't tied those things together, then you probably will lack in terms of the capability that your competitors will have.
Any final thoughts?
Well, I think it is important, if we talk about the IT roadmap, that, one, as we said, get it right. Two, ensure that, it makes your organisation have the flexibility to both, grow its business with its customer base, but just as importantly, that your staff and the people that are involved in your organisation, they continue to develop and utilise, the capability within your business to give you that return. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our chat with Mike. If you would like more information, please visit our website. We also have the Brennan IT Strategy Kickstarter, so get in touch.